Okay, great. So with Mental Health Awareness Week coming up in May, I'm interviewing Jordan Young from Trinity Guild Rugby Club. Thank you for doing this podcast with us, Jordan. So if you want to give a bit of an overview about Trinity Guild, where you're based and what you deliver at the moment.
Yeah, so thanks for having us on, Sam. So we're from Trinity Guild Rugby Club. So we're currently based in Finham, temporarily based at Finham Park School at the minute, and we're just waiting for our new clubhouse to be built over in the developments up by the airport. So rugby club by name, rugby club by nature. We've got a bit of a diverse offer. So we've got kind of rugby available from anyone from the age of kind of 5 upwards. We've got a men's team, women's team. We've got a recently added disability and inclusion section. I've also got a women's fitness club on the side as well. So there's plenty going on. There's something for everybody, whether you play contact or not. So that's us in a nutshell.
In a nutshell, great stuff. So like I say, with the sort of Mental Health Awareness Week coming up, just wanted to sort of get your viewpoints really on kind of the return to play. Maybe some specific members in your club or kind of how it's impacted. So how have your members coped during lockdown, sort of in terms of their mental health? Have they struggled, or have some been better than others?
Yeah, I think it's tough to kind of nail down just one reaction to it, but I think the important thing that we've had is whether people have been quite, had other things to keep them going, or other people have probably felt a little bit isolated, is to just try and stay connected as a club. And it's not to do the same thing for everybody, but what works for the juniors, and whether that would be little skill challenges for while the kids couldn't come back to training, there were still some things they could practice in the garden, to quizzes. I think everybody is all quizzed out by now, but we must be one of the smartest clubs in the country now after all the quizzes we've had, to bringing in personal trainers to do Zoom fitness. And we just try to do a bit of a diverse offer really, just to help people get through lockdown really. And I think everybody, like I said, everyone reacted differently to it. I think the first lockdown, I think there was an element of surprise, an element of it being a bit new. And I think people didn't mind that as much, and the weather was pretty nice. It was easy to get out and get active. And then obviously we've seen that kind of second lockdown was only a bit of a 4-week thing, so people knew that kind of get through that and be back to rugby. I think the last one kind of we're coming out of now, I think that's probably the most difficult.
I just agree with that.
People just almost lockdown fatigue, isn't it? They're just fed up of being locked down, fed up of not being able to go to the pub, to the rugby club, to see your mates, just all the things that we've probably taken for granted. But I think it's that last one. It was like, people have given up so much for so long that I think the last one was probably the most difficult to navigate. But
so they've obviously responded well coming back then, like I guess, like you say, being locked down and not really having that light at the end of the tunnel, and then all of a sudden, roadmap, and then that return to play was kind of pretty much imminent, wasn't it? So it was like, I guess, all hands on deck for you. Let's try and get everything in place, ready for them to come back. So I guess that's gone really well for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just, for us, was kind of being really open and honest with the members as well, and all the people that are involved in the club, just to say, look, we don't have all the answers. We're waiting for the RFU to kind of give us the guidance, and actually to go that step further and say, look, the RFU don't even have the guidance until they get it from government. And obviously there's all the bits and pieces that go into that. So we were just pretty honest with our members and said, look, we will aim to be open as quickly as we can and as safely as we can. Trust that that's going to be the plan, but just got to wait to be told what we can do and when we can do it. And unfortunately, people have responded quite well to that.
Yeah, that's really good, because I think, a lot of clubs and stuff that I've spoken to are in a similar boat. Like say, no one's got all the answers, and I think we're all well aware of that. And I think people are being quite patient, aren't they? So that's really good to hear. In terms of coming back to the physical activity, have you noticed like a drastic change in people's mental health just by purely being back in that social realm again? Have you noticed some quite drastic changes in people?
I think it's that interesting first couple of weeks back where kind of it was almost that mixture of excitement and I would say anxiety, but that kind of a bit of apprehension of returning, and just that real mix of emotions on the first couple of weeks back. Now we're now we're 3 or 4 weeks in, it's almost like nothing ever happened. That's
Really?
quite nice. But
Oh,
yeah, I think
great.
there's definitely still that first couple of weeks back, it's like people are not sure what to expect. And to be honest, I'd actually think the latest return was the easiest one, but probably because people have been through that kind of return to play, realise it's quite safe, and really, touch wood, no transmissions, no kind of COVID transmission at the club, and following all the guidance has definitely helped with that.
Yeah.
So obviously that, you follow the guidance and you should be okay. That's what we're all trying to work to.
Yeah,
And I think
definitely.
people have seen that and thought, you know what, actually, it's all right to go back up. There's
Yeah,
been
yeah.
plenty of activity.
Yeah.
Communicated on socials and showing people that activity is taking place and
Yeah.
it's taking place safely. And those guys that maybe have been apprehensive at first and now starting to come back as well. So
yeah, great. Perfect. Obviously, like I say, there's quite a few bits that you've kind of done to put in place to support people, like having your WhatsApp chats, and I guess in the first lockdown there was a lot of Zoom quizzes. I think everyone's going to get their sort of mastermind applications in. Would there have been anything else that you would have liked to have implemented to like support people? Because I guess the physical side of things, you can put on your PT, you can do whatever. I guess the mental health side of things was probably a bit more difficult, especially over a Zoom or over a WhatsApp call. That's quite difficult to identify. So do you think like you did everything as a club that you could have done? Would there have been anything different that you'd have liked to have done, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing, the big change that we've implemented it quite recently, probably at the start of the year, we actually teamed up with a company called GoVox.
Oh, cool.
Who eventually provides us with a bit of a well-being check-in / tracker. It's basically a monthly survey, and it's very broad. You kind of set the questions yourself, but it means that we can just monitor individuals and kind of if notice any negative trends or any positive trends. And some of that stuff is reporting on how they feel about themselves, how they feel about their own health. And that's gone down quite well. And it's kind of helped us understand that you've seen the results get better as soon as we return to play. And see through the lockdown, the results were, up and down with, but yeah, just the challenges of that. So I guess if we could have implemented that earlier, then that would have been cool. But kind of from knowing about it to then implementing it was quite quick. So I just wish we knew about it before.
That's a really good not tactic, but kind of support method though, is in like, I guess you can track it. It can be fairly anonymous, as in, your members know that there's only certain people that are going to be looking at that, and they can, it's very much like an open choice thing of, they can choose to upload their data or not. So that's really, and I guess you've got sort of signposting methods within your club. If you are struggling, this is kind of where to go to get, a bit more in-depth support and help.
Yeah, we're really lucky. So I'll give a shout out to Lynn. So Lynn Davidson is our mental health lead at the club. So I think you've seen it in a lot of sports clubs now, that as things start to become more and more, at the front of people's minds, that we start to get roles for certain things. So like safeguarding, for example, probably 10, 15 years ago, some clubs would have them as a matter of good practice. Others didn't feel like they needed them, whereas now it's pretty much mandatory. And obviously we've had Lynn in place for a couple of years now, for a number of years actually, in that role, and I think it's kind of we were ready to receive that that GoVox platform, and kind of it gives us the opportunity to have for our coaches or whoever leads groups to have those conversations with players, and then if there is anything beyond that, then obviously we're very lucky to have someone like Lynn at the club who can then kind of support with anything more that might need to happen.
So for a club that kind of is thinking about maybe doing a bit more around mental health, I guess, it sounds like you probably need someone that is going to champion that idea and kind of drive that forward. That'd probably be like something that they would definitely need. What, do you think it's quite easy to kind of implement that sort of strategy moving forward, or kind of have those things in place? Do you think that's quite an easy thing for a club or a group to do?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's one of the it's more and more current and more mainstream that mental health is being spoken about, which is amazing. I think we've come back to everyone is very comfortable and understanding when they're physically not right. but not necessarily aware of mentally if something's not quite right with them at a particular time, like what to do, where to get help, or kind of how to be able to manage it yourself.
Yeah.
And I think there's different levels to how you can implement it as a club. But I think even just starting off with having someone who is championing in mental health and, just continuing to share good messages. I mean, we're fortunate within rugby. We've got some amazing groups like Loose Heads, Are You Okay, Give a Rock. There's just three just straight away that are trying to champion mental health in rugby clubs. And, that's kind of the minimum that you can do, and actually it could make a massive difference. Just having in your club, whether it's once a week, there's just a mental health message of, it's okay to talk, just normalizing the conversation. And then above and beyond that, how you have your support mechanisms, well, that's down to the club and what you're capable of doing. But even just in the first place, just normalizing the conversation would make a massive difference.
Yeah, brilliant. No, that's absolutely bang on, especially with sort of men in general, not sort of coming forward and talking about their mental health. I know there's quite a big drive around, like, the male dominated sports like your footballs and your rugby's and your crickets potentially. It's like, encouraging people and giving them that open space to be honest, and like you say, having a club or having a person that they know is accepting of that is like step one, isn't it? And it's an amazing step to take. So that's really important. And the last thing really is just around kind of any examples that you can think of like someone in your club that uses physical activity to help their mental health and to kind of balance those two out. I mean, obviously you don't need to name names or anything like that, but any kind of great examples you can give would be perfect.
Yeah, I got a couple. I guess one stands out to me is just one of our women's team, and she just basically got into running in lockdown. Obviously, there's only so many things you could do, mostly by yourself. So running was one of those activities, and she just recognised how important it was to keep active and how being active made her feel better. I don't know how far she could run when she started, but she's looking at running half marathons now, which is
amazing.
Fortunately, she still wants to play rugby. She'll unbelievably fit when we get back to playing. But so that's just an example of individual. And then I guess the other side of it, of being a team sport, is it's not just being active is great, but also being active with others is just so powerful. That kind of those connections, those casual conversations you're having with people, just interacting with other people, being outside your four walls, you just can't put a price or a value on how helpful that is to your mental health. And just like I said, just not staring at Netflix all day and picking another series. I mean, that's pretty stressful, isn't it? Trying to you've completed Netflix, most people now, but that just being able to just have normal conversations. And like even this week we've had kind of outdoor drinks after training, and it's just starting to feel like normal again, and just people start to feel like they've got their normal life back. And whether that's being able to train and just release the energy, get the endorphins flowing, or interact with other people, see other people, moan about the weather with other people, it's all those other things that you probably don't always consider. But we're pretty lucky being a team sport that we get that quite naturally. But no, it definitely is huge just being out and that feeling of normality, I think, especially now that it's like, oh no, that's a normal thing to be doing again. It's not just it's not a pipe dream. I wonder when we're going to get out of lockdown. It's rugby's on a Monday night or whatever night it is. And
and people starting to go back to, like you say, their kind of life in pre-March 2020, and that is a novelty at the minute. And I think it would just be great to kind of see more people embracing that mental health side of things, because the services are overwhelmed, and we all know that sport and physical activity is such a great sort of, not cure, but can really, really help. And like I say, being involved in team sport just gives you so many other elements that isn't just burning the steam off and burning some calories. It's like there's way more to it. So that's great. Thank you ever so much for your time, Jordan. And this podcast will be going live during Mental Health Awareness Week on the 10th of May. So thank you ever so much, and see you later.
No worries. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.